Confucius biography. Confucius was an influential Chinese philosopher who taught a philosophy of correct behavior, social interaction and kindness towards others. During his lifetime, he sought to educate his fellow citizens on principles of justice, service and personal integrity. After his death, his precepts and philosophy became the cornerstone of Chinese culture and philosophy widely known as Confucianism. Confucius was born on 28 September 551 BCE in Liu, China, a province of the Zhou dynasty near modern-day Fu. He was born in a period of religious and cultural turmoil, with the great Zhou dynasty in decline and being replaced by petty fiefdoms fighting for supremacy. His family may have had aristocratic roots, but were relatively poor at the time of his birth. His father was a soldier who died when Confucius was just 3 years old. As a result, he was brought up by his mother, who kindled his love of learning and seeking wisdom. From a young age, he sought out teachers who could instruct him in all aspects of life. His all-round education involved becoming adept in the arts of archery, ritual, music, calligraphy, charioteering and arithmetic. He also studied history and poetry. Confucius was, in particular, fascinated with the moral and cultural precepts known as Li. Buddha. Siddhartha, who later became known as the Buddha or the Enlightened One, was a prince who forsook the comforts of a palace to seek enlightenment. He realized the essential unreality of the world and experienced the bliss of nirvana. After his enlightenment, he spent the remainder of his life teaching others how to escape the endless cycle of birth and death. Buddha was born approximately 400 BCE in the district of Lumbini, which is now modern-day Nepal, close to the Indian border. He was brought up in a palace with all the comforts and luxuries possible. Growing up a young noble prince, it is said his father sought to shield the young Prince Siddhartha from the pain and suffering of the world. It is said his father had a premonition that Siddhartha would one day renounce the world. However, at one point in his early adult life, Siddhartha sought to find a greater meaning to life. In this guise, he left the palace and wandered around the kingdom. Here, Siddhartha came across different people suffering from old age and illness and witnessed death. This showed him the transitory nature of life, which had a great impact on him. As a consequence, Siddhartha resolved to seek a deep. Jesus Christ 4 BC, AD 30 was a spiritual teacher who preached a gospel of faith, love and forgiveness. His life and teachings led to the emergence of a new religion, Christianity, which became the dominant religious force in the Western world. The Christian religion reveres Jesus Christ as the Son of God. Jesus is also an important prophet in Islam, and his teachings are widely admired by other religious traditions. Jesus was born in Bethlehem, Judah, then part of the Roman Empire, under the rule of Herod. Jesus was born into a Jewish family. His parents were Mary and Joseph of Nazareth. Jesus was born in Bethlehem because his father had to travel to his place of birth to take part in the Roman census. Because of overcrowding due to the census, the family were offered a place in a stable, and hence Jesus was born in the humblest of surroundings in a manger surrounded by animals. According to the Gospels, the birth of Jesus was proclaimed to shepherds in nearby fields. Later on, Jesus was visited by 3 wise men from the east offering gifts of gold, frankincense and myrrh. Shortly after Jesus' birth, Herod was told a future king of the Jews had been born in his kingdom. Feeling his temporal power threatened, he ordered all young Jewish boys to be killed. The Gospels relate how Joseph was warned in a dream and, as a result, took his family to Egypt before returning to Nazareth when it was considered safe. 1826 was an English mathematician, physicist and scientist. He is widely regarded as one of the most influential scientists of all time, developing new laws of mechanics, gravity and laws of motion. His work Principia Mathematica 1687 laid the framework for the scientific revolution of the 17th century. A great polymath, Newton's investigations also included areas of optics, religion and alchemy. Sir Isaac Newton was born on Christmas Day, in 1643, to a relatively poor farming family. His father died 3 months before he was born. His mother later remarried, but her second husband did not get on with Isaac, leading to friction between Isaac and his parents. The young Isaac attended school at King's School, Grantham in Lincolnshire, where his signature is still inscribed on the walls. Isaac was one of the top students, but before completing his studies his mother withdrew him from school, so Isaac could work as a farmer. It was only through the intervention of the headmaster that Isaac was able to return to finish his studies. He passed his final exams with very good results and was able to go to Trinity College, Cambridge. He was able to pursue his interests in mathematics, science and physics. At the time the prevailing education was based on Aristotle, but Isaac was more interested in modern mathematicians such as René Descartes. Isaac Newton had a prodigious capacity to consider mathematical problems, and then focus on them until he had solved the mystery behind them. His one-pointed nature led him to, at times, be detached from the world. For example, he had little time for women. An early teenage romance came to nothing, and he remained single throughout his life. Prophet Muhammad 570 to 632. Whilst in seclusion in a mountain cave, Muhammad reported receiving a series of revelations from God. These revelations form the verses of the Quran, regarded by Muslims as the word of God and around which the Islamic religion is based. Muhammad was a significant religious, political and military leader who helped to unite Arabia under the new religion of Islam. Muhammad was born in 570 CE in the Arabian city of Mecca. Orphaned from an early age, he was brought up by his uncle Abu Talib. He worked as a merchant and shepherd and did not receive any formal education. Muhammad had spiritual inclinations and would spend time going to caves around Mount Hira to spend time in silence, prayer and retreat. He was also known for his generosity, devoutness and skill in arbitrating disputes. In the year 610, at the age of 40, Muhammad was undertaking a retreat of prayer and meditation in the desert. During his prayer, he began hearing a luminous voice who commanded him to write down the word of God. At first, Muhammad was very uncertain about his experience, but after sharing with his first wife Khadijah and her cousin, he gained confidence that it was a divine voice, which he later revealed to be Angel Gabriel. For quite a few years, Muhammad only shared these recitations with his close companions, who later served as scribes, writing down the revelations. He was aware that preaching a new monotheistic religious teaching may incur the wrath of the existing authorities. An important feature of the teachings of the Quran was that there was only one God, and the essential aspect of life was to submit to his will.